Hello everyone, Benny Williams here, and I'm back with my first video in what feels like has been forever. And the reasons why I'm going to touch upon in another video, which I'll do again at a later date. But at the moment, this is just a bit of a spur of the moment, last minute video that I felt like I really wanted to do. So forgive me while I talk about the topic that I'm going to talk about, and if I look down quite a lot, it's because I'm looking at my notes that I've made so I can keep a reference and try and remember to talk about as much as I wanted to talk about. And the topic of this video is, of course, the Nintendo Switch. So let's start off with the biggest question. I'm not going to tread on eggshells or make you wait to the end of the video or anything like that. I'm just going to come out of it straight away. Am I going to buy the Nintendo Switch? Am I going to make the switch to the Switch? And the answer for that is yes, absolutely. And for the majority of the rest of this video, I'm going to give you my reasons why and my reasons why I think it's got to be a great system. So, to start with, am I going to buy one at launch? And at the moment, the answer to that is I really don't know. I've been saving up some Christmas and birthday money, and of course I want to save up some of my money to put towards that. And you know, the price point of £279 over in the UK is very high. It's not high for a new system by any means, but it's a lot higher than what we anticipated and what we expected. And a lot of that is, you know, because a lot of people had put the price point at about £200. So the price of the unit is going to be quite expensive. So I'm very torn between saving my money that I've got and adding towards it and buying the system. But if I do, then I'm not going to have any gains for a couple of months. So I'm just going to have this new system that I really want to play with no gains because I'm not going to be able to afford the games. The other option that I'm thinking about at the moment is to just wait for a few more months and maybe even possibly till next Christmas, perhaps, if all the units are gone within the first few months. That if that happens, then perhaps I'll just buy the games that I really want that are coming out for the system, and some of the games that I've seen that haven't quite been announced by Nintendo themselves, but they have officially been announced. Now, one of the biggest problems with the Switch at the moment is, like, I think we can all live with the price of the system. It sucks that there's not a tie-in game with it, and of course, everyone is trying to say that the 1-2 Switch would have been a perfect tie-in game, and perhaps that would have been a perfect tie-in game, although I only really think you're going to have 5 minutes of fun with the game and then you just got to forget about it. With the accessories, though, you know, it was all speculation of the price where we expected it to be a very good price, and we all needed the Switch to be a very good price for it to be able to sell and for people to want it. And it's one thing slightly putting a price higher than what we wanted, but then putting accessories that you're really going to need to go with it at a high price as well, like the Pro controller for the Switch, which is just horrendously expensive. But as I was speaking to SNEStastic from YouTube earlier through his Twitter, that you know he would like that price to come down eventually, which you know at some point it will. But we've got to remember that at the same time, the Wii U Pro controller, that if you buy it new or used, still commands a high price for it at the moment. It's still very expensive to buy. You're looking at £40+ for one. That's even just a pre-owned one. Um, but after watching loads more videos and a bit more detail, and especially from watching what Nintendo, which Alex from Nintendo Arcade had said, especially about the HD Joy-Con controller, the HD rumble that's built in. I now completely get it. I completely understand why they had to go for the slightly higher price point on that. And you know, not a lot of people are really going to care about HD rumble, and do we really need it? Yes, no, maybe not. But the thing is, of course, Nintendo are always innovative, and if you go back and have a look at Alex from Nintendo Arcade's video, then you'll see he explains a bit more about the HD Rumble. And I've got to tell you, after watching that and listening to what he had to say about it, I actually really want the HD Rumble in it. You know, it's one of those things that if it's utilised, if the devs use it that are making the games and they make great use of it, you know, because it's an incredible piece of technology and it's just a whole step further than anything before. Alex was basically saying that there was a game where I think might have been a demo game maybe, but you're basically holding the Joy-Con in your hand and you've got these, you've got to try, and it's in 1-2 switch, he was saying, and you've got to try and guess how many balls are that you're holding in your hand through the Joy-Con. And he was saying that it's very sensitive, the way you hold it, and he felt to get control of it, he closed his eyes and concentrated, and then he got it every time. But he said that you could feel the balls individually roll, and it's almost like they hit a side of a box or something. So, you know, to hear that and Joy, this HD rumble in the Joy-Con can do that is incredible. Um, so with the accessories anyway, as one of the fellow co-hosts from RGDS podcast, which I'm a part of, which I really need to get back to and start doing more of. Uh, so as Matt Lamborn was saying about that, we're going to heavily rely on third-party accessories, which brings me to the next point of course, there's going to be two options at launch of the Switch. You can either have the neon Joy Cons where you get was it the red and blue one either side, so the odd they're an odd colour either side, but it looks funky, or you can just get the standard sort of matte black sort of finish. But initially, I was thinking to myself, do you know, I really want to get the neon one because it's the same price and they might not have this stock of it for very long. But then it occurred to me that that doesn't really matter because with the third party people doing the accessories for it already, what was it, Hori are already doing a range, and there was one before Hori that are already doing a range as well, which they accessories look pretty cool. But basically, we're just going to have clip-on covers like face plates to go on top of the Joy Cons anyway, and you can get them just in a variety of colours then. So if you don't like the particular red and blue on either side, you can just get a matching set, and you know there's going to be loads and loads of different combinations. Of course, with the impressive surge of 3D printing and things, people will be doing their own and putting their own custom designs on there, and we'll get some incredible things coming up in the future. So the launch games I'm going to talk about now. I pretty much think I will probably get every one of the launch games, to be fair, even Just Dance, because although it's not usually my type of thing, I've got two young daughters and I think that as a family I think it will be fun to play. So, you know, I could probably get on board and do that with my family, and it's bonding, which is something that Nintendo are always fantastic at doing, bringing the family together and bonding with the family. Um, but apparently, just announced one of the launch titles now is The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, which I play The Binding of Isaac Rebirth to death. It is one of my favourite games ever. It's one of my most favourite new games over the past few years. And, you know, bar retro stuff, it's definitely up there in my, probably I'd say my top 5 games of all time now. And Afterbirth Plus is basically, I if I'm right, it is the full original game Rebirth, which, well, not original game because originally it was Steam as just The Binding of Isaac, and then they did Rebirth, which was a lot better graphics, and put it out onto PS4 and things as well. And then they've done Afterbirth, which is a big, massive expansion for it. But I think with Afterbirth Plus, I think it's the whole lot of it. So you get Rebirth, Afterbirth, the expansion, and then added things to it as well. and it just looks as crazy as ever. And for those of you that don't know about it, it's a roguelike game that's very much got a lot of similarities to Zelda and dungeon crawling, and you go from room to room finding items which have different sort of powers, and you can combine them. You fight bosses, you've got loads of different enemies, and it's just absolutely crazy. It's got one of the craziest storylines ever, and it's quite horrific when you first see it, because it's basically about a young boy that just lives with his mum. You don't see the dad on the scene. Um, it just lives with his mum. They're quite happy. His mum spends the whole time watching Christian broadcast, and one day she hears the voice of God, and basically, cut a long story short, God says that if you love me above anything else, then you'll kill your son for me. So she goes to see him, and he finds this hidden trapdoor underneath his rug in his bedroom, and then goes down to the pits of hell and just goes further and further down. But it's just an absolutely incredible game. I absolutely love it. So if I'm not selling it, I'm sorry, but it's one of those that you've got to try to love and appreciate. Um, so of course, Zelda. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I absolutely love the series. Um, Breath of the Wild does look absolutely stunning. I've got a couple of concerns about it. With you're having to do a lot more to try and keep yourself alive and build your stamina and stuff. And I thought that maybe that might take quite a bit away from the game, but actually, on reflection, it will probably enhance the game and probably not hinder it too much from the experience. One of the other things that I initially didn't like is where you've got this mode where you seem to be able to move objects by highlighting them. I don't know what that's called, but you basically highlight objects and you can move them around. And for a Zelda game, it just seemed absolutely daft. But in the more recent version demo that we saw, it looks a lot better, and there's probably a really good reason of why you could do that. So it probably fits in the story. Um, so right, I'm going to move on next to talk about the third party support. A lot of people are worried about the third party support. Nintendo have assured us that there's over 80 developers currently working uh, on games, and there's going to be over 80 games that are going to be available for it pretty much over the next couple of years, which that's quite a lot of games, to be honest. But there's one company in particular that springs to mind who did the Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which Nicalis. I know that one of the main people from the Binding of Isaac, Edmund Macmillan, who is part of Nicalis, did Super Meat Boy, but I don't know if Super Meat Boy is actually part of Nicalis or not. I'm not really sure. I probably should have checked that, but never mind. But they do so many games and so many great ones at that. And they've also, they've got several coming. They've got Cave Story, which to start with, I didn't expect a lot from the game when I first started playing it. For the, you've got to find out what to do. You've got no weapons. All you can do is jump and move around, and it's a bit of exploration, a bit Metroidvania-esque sort of thing. And after 5 or 10 minutes of playing it and a bit of trial and error, once you get the hang of it, it just starts developing into this great game. It goes from sort of 2D 8-bit style into almost progresses into, it feels like becomes a 16-bit style game, and it is just absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant game. I've recently played it quite a lot on Lacquer, and I've completed it 3 or 4 times, and I will happily do it 3 or 4 times again. Um, so going back to the games again, there's 75 as the time of recording now that on the Wikipedia page, which I know Wikipedia can't always be trusted, but these are 75 confirmed titles already for the Switch. So, it's not going to fail at doing games. They've got the developers on board, they've got people making games. They are going to deliver on that promise. So, who do I think this console is going to appeal to. So it really is going to appeal to people just exactly like me. It's going to appeal to, people from 25 and over that grew up with systems like the Super Nintendo with the N64, because a lot of the games that are coming, especially like Super Bomberman R, which looks absolutely brilliant. I love the Super Bomberman games on the Super Nintendo, and to see that revived HD, and it was great on the Wii when they had it on the eShop on the Wii. Really enjoyed that, and it's going to be 8-player multiplayer again, which is going to be phenomenal. It's the first time since I think it was on the Saturn the last time they did that, and that was just great. It was great fun. It's just going to be a great get together with your friends, and it's going to obviously have a story mode, which is going to be a ton of fun as well. So yeah, I think it's going to appeal to those types of people, um, and because of these games that are coming out, a lot of these games that they're doing are continuations of follow-ons of games that we had on the earlier Nintendo systems that we grew up, that we loved. Of course, it's a bit unfortunate that games like Metroid wasn't announced, like a new Metroid. Of course, Super Mario Odyssey was announced, which is not coming out until December. At the moment, I'm not overly keen on the look of that, but I think, when they make a Nintendo game, they know what they're doing. They're always a lot of fun, and I think once I've got it in my hands and once I'm playing it, I think I will really enjoy it and get a great experience from it. Um, Something that's really got to appeal to me as well, I don't know really for anyone else, is ports of existing games that are already out. So I'm on about things like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, things like that. Of course, Skyrim was already announced, but I'd love to see things like Fallout 4 come to it as well, and these big open world games like that coming to it. Because to be honest, I've got some of them. I've got them on the PS4, but I don't play them, and I find it's because of having a family and they them wanting a TV. So, and I've got my PS4 in the lounge, so when they've got it, I can't really play it. And something that I do really enjoy is playing remote play, and it's not compatible with every game, but it's a nice touch. So some games I get to play, and it's fun doing that. I enjoy doing it. Some I can be around the family and play games. Or sometimes we'll all doing our own thing, which is fine, and then we do stuff together. But to be able to do that on the tablet almost immediately, taking it out of the dock, is going to be great. To have really nice controls on it, especially when the Joy Cons are on the Switch itself, I think it's going to feel really nice, and it's going to be great to play. It's going to be quite portable, and that's something incredible about it as well. Is that okay? At the moment, it's going to store up to, I think you can get up to 256 gigabytes of data on it on the SDHC. I think it is compatible. It's going to be on, which is huge anyway. Especially because you can just swap them out. It's going to be easy to do if you had a few of them, and it was going to probably be cheaper that way for you as well. But they've said it's going to be compatible with up to 2 terabytes of SDHC, which of course is not around yet, but in a couple of years we will have at least a terabyte, no doubt. Apparently it's in some of the other markets in, I think, Japan and China and things at the moment, but we haven't got it yet. So it's on its way, but it's compatible with up to 2 terabytes already. So, you know, if you just think a 2 terabyte portable video game console is an incredible idea. It's absolutely amazing. So of course it's going to be brilliant because it's going to be region free. So there's going to be games that are going to be exclusive to different regions that we're going to want. So you just got to pay the extra price of importing, which isn't going to be terrible. But I'm going to try and run through some of the games that I'm really looking forward to it, that have been officially announced. So they are coming to the console, but I don't know when exactly at the moment. But I'm going to try and run through it quite quickly, so I'm not going to bore the hell out of everyone. So of course, Zelda Breath of the Wild, definitely getting it. It's going to be incredible. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, for me to have a physical copy of one of my most beloved games ever is just going to be brilliant because it's digital only and I like my physical media. Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter, of course, is going to be amazing playing with your friends, a Joy-Con each, and I'd imagine even if you had a Pro controller where you can do the two on one with the against the computer, you know, if one of your Joy-Cons are run out of battery and you put that on charge, I'm sure the Wii U Pro controller will still work with one of the Joy-Cons. Rhyme looks absolutely stunning. It looks a bit like Shadow of Colossus, Ico sort of thing, and I think it's made by the same developers. It's quite got a cel shaded look to it, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Ukulele, of course, can't wait for that. Massive fan of the Rare games, and it's by the Rare staff that did Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie, and they also did Conker's Bad Fur Day as well. Ocean Horn looks stunning, a very Zelda Wind Waker looking game. It just looks beautiful and I really want to play that already. Bomberman R, of course, just can't wait, looks great. Arms, in the presentation I wasn't too keen on it, but then seeing some of the footage from the treehouse, there's a lot more depth to it, there's different arenas and lots more elements, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think they undersold it on the launch. I think they very much undersold it on the presentation. I might get the Dragon Quest games, I don't know, I'm not overly keen on turn-based RPGs, but it was one of the few that I could get into that were turn-based. I loved the one on the PS2, that was brilliant. So, you know, I might get them. I might be wrong, but I think one of them, one of them's a turn-based, and I think one of them's an action RPG, but we'll see. Lego City Undercover, I've got it on the Wii U, so unless I see it at a bargain price at some point in the future, I'm not going to bother getting it, but it is a great game, I love playing it. What else? Monster Boy, great series. They're redoing it, continuation of the Monster Boy sort of Wonder Boy games. So it's going to be an all new game based on those. Looks fantastic. Project Sonic. You're probably not going to like me when I say this, but I really like Sonic. Sonic Boom, is it? I think it's Sonic Boom. Rise of Lyric, that one. I enjoyed that game, I like it. It's a lot of different variations. You can see it trying to take a new direction and moulding a lot of genres into one, and I played a fair bit of that, and I didn't just do the first few levels and then think, oh, that's crap, and giving it up. I put quite a bit of time into it and I enjoyed it, so it is what it is. It's a good Sonic game as far as I'm concerned. Sonic Mania looks great. I'm not a traditional Sonic fan, although I love Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that was my favourite Sonic. And of course it is going back to the earlier days, but it looks enhanced, it looks beautiful. It's got touches of all the Sonics in it, so I am actually looking forward to that. Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2. I kind of went off that genre for a while, but I'm kind of, if I have friends around, I think it's the sort of thing that I want to play, and if it's quite an open world fighting, if it's quite an open world fighting game as well, where you get to fly for miles and miles and you're still in the combat area, then that'll be absolutely outstanding. The Shovel Knight game, which this is going to be the definitive edition of it. It's going to be, everything's going to be rolled into one, and I've got to admit I've never played it, but it's just right up my street. It's retro inspired, it's a newer game, platform with some great bosses like the Wonder Boy series again, and I love the look of that. Snipper Clips looks great. I just really like the look of it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Spelunker World, it's got a sort of Little Big Planet feel to it, and I like the look of that. It looks fun. Splatoon 2, I could probably get on board with this. I wasn't really interested in the original one, but I think, again, playing it with my daughter who's really into her games like me now, I think I could have a lot of fun with her like that. And like Alex from Nintendo Arcade said, he has fun playing that with his kids. Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap remake, looks absolutely stunning. I can't wait for that. Redone from the ground up, it just looks absolutely incredible. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I've not played the games, but they look incredible. A beautiful looking action RPG. Taiko Drum Master, definitely want to get that. It's so much fun, especially if they have the peripheral drums or something with it that you can buy. That's going to be brilliant. You know, like maybe something like the Donkey Konga drums. I think that would be great with that. If they like did it in the Taiko drum style games. But my friends Barry and Chris at some of the retro gaming events, we had a blast playing it. It was great. Skylanders, I could be on board with that. You know, it looks as good as it ever has, and it's going to be quite customisable. I quite like the look of it. Puyo Tetris looks absolutely great. Um, I'm not really very good at those sort of games, but I think that'll be a lot of fun with your friends. And it's great that you can have up to 4 players playing it at any one time, and you can choose if you want to do the Puyo mode or Tetris. You could just select either one of them, and it just looks so fun. And lastly, I might maybe get Minecraft again. Me and my daughter enjoy playing that together, and I think playing it together on the Switch with a Joy-Con each could be quite a lot of fun again. But we'll see. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like it. Give me a subscribe, because I'm going to be doing more videos again in the future. And thank you for tuning in and listening to me waffle on. And I will see you soon. Cheers.